Hello, we are going to discuss short rows and the various ways in which a short row can be created. And let me get to the right stitch. I'm not intentionally covering the stitches, it's just like that's how I knit. So if you're going to do a German short row, you knit to the stitch that you want and you turn the work over. You slip the last stitch worked over to the working needle, and then you pull the yarn to the back so that it creates a double stitch, and then you purl back to the beginning of the round. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and not make you watch that purling back, and then I'll be back to you with how to do the German short row on the other side of the neckline. Okay, I got back to the beginning of the round, and then I'm going to keep on purling to the number of stitches required in the pattern to do the next short row. Alright, we're almost back to the stitch in question, and we knit to the stitch it tells you, and then you turn the work, and then you slip the stitch over to the right, and then you don't move your yarn to the back until after you slip the stitch. And what it does is it pulls that stitch into a double stitch, and then you knit back to the beginning of the round, and that is how you would work a German short row. I'm going to go ahead and show you how we resolve the German short row. Bear with me as I don't know how to fast forward, so I'll pause until I get back to where we resolve the German short row. Okay, we are back to just before our double stitch, so I would knit to it, and with the German short row you can knit through the back loop, or if you prefer you can do a slip knitwise, slip purlwise, and then knit through the back loop. There really isn't a how you have to do it, how you need to do it. My personal preference is to just knit through the back loop on a German twisted short row. Make sure I'm not catching any of the stitches, and then continue knitting. I'll be back when I get to the next place where I put a short row, and I'm going to show you a lifted increase short row. Okay, so I'm where I want to do the lifted increase, and in this case, if your pattern calls for German twisted or German short row, what you're going to do is you're going to stop one prior to that short row, and because the German has you knit the stitch, slipping it back and pulling the yarn over. In this case, we're not going to knit the stitch, but we're going to pull it up like we're going to do a lifted increase, and then we're going to put our needle in, pull up a loop, and put it on the needle. I'm going to go ahead and undo that and show you zoomed in to see if it's easier to see that stitch. Alright, so for the lifted short row, what I do is I lift the stitch below up on the needle, and then pull up a loop, and then put that loop back down below. So I have two loops, and then I turn the work and I purl back. So there's no right way to do a short row. I will, when I'm done showing you the lifted increase on the purl side, then I will show you how to resolve those, and then I will show you how I would do just a standard wrap and turn short row. So I'll be back when I get to the other side to show you how to resolve the German short row, and then after that I'll show you how to make the lifted increase short row, and then we'll move on from there. Okay, we are back to our German short row, and we're purling. And so what I typically do with the German short row is that I purl them together. I don't hate it, so it's not bad. It's just that's what I do, is I purl it together. So, and I don't even know if that was visible because I forgot it was zoomed in. But remember, when you're doing the lifted short rows, you want to stop one before the German short row instructions if the pattern's written for German short rows. And for a lifted increase on the purl side, I find it much easier to go to the front, and then you're going to go under the leg, and then you're going to knit one. And I don't know what I just did, so bear with me. Hold on. Oh, I went under the wrong leg. That happens from time to time. So we want to go under the leg, but we want to go under the front leg, the first leg, not way down below. You go in and you pull up a loop. And see, now you have 2 loops here. So I'm going to go ahead and show that again. I stopped the stitch before. So I'm here right where I want to do my short row. And I pull the loop up. That's the row below. Using my needle, I knit a stitch. So now I have 2 loops on the needle. And then some people slip this stitch. I just go ahead and knit into it and keep on going. I'm going to zoom out to see if that's any better for y'all to see and redo it. So let me go back. Let's undo those stitches so you can see it not zoomed in for a change. Drop that stitch. Okay, so we're back to where we want the short row. We were on the purl side. Go ahead and turn it first and lift your bar up, knit a stitch, and then go back the other direction. I'll do that one more time. We're gonna lift up the bar below, take the needle in, knit a stitch, and then we're just gonna knit going the other direction. And that's it. That's all there is on that particular one. So I'll meet you back on the other side to resolve the lifted short row, and we'll show you a standard wrap and turn. Okay, so we're back almost to our lifted increase short row. So in this particular case, I knit through the back loop. I just think it looks cleaner, it keeps it nice and tidy, and then I keep on going. You could do a slip slip knit. You could knit both of them together on the front side. It tends to stretch if I don't give it that little twist, so that's my preferred method. I'll go ahead and undo that just so that you can see it a little bit up close and maybe a little slower. So what I do is I just slip my needles in the back and knit through the back loop. And I think it now looks like a normal knit stitch. And then I keep on going. Give me just a second and then we'll come back and work on the standard short row. Okay, so the most common or the standard short row is if it doesn't call for it, usually means it wants a wrap and turn. Now that doesn't mean anything because you can use any short row method you prefer. But this is a standard wrap and turn. So I'm going to knit this next stitch because it's what I need to do. And then to do a short row, you're going to slip the next stitch. You're going to bring your yarn to the front, slip the stitch back, and then turn the work. So let's do that again so you understand what's going on. Let me take that out. So you've been knitting, so your yarn is still in the back. You're going to slip the next stitch purlwise. You're going to bring the yarn to the front, slip the stitch back purlwise, and then you're going to turn the work. And you're just going to start knitting in the opposite direction. And notice there's this, that the yarn is caught on this stitch. And so I'm going to go ahead and leave it that way. It's not my preferred wrap and turn method, but we'll leave it for this purpose of this video so you can see how they look. And then we're going to go to the other side and I will show you how to resolve the purl lifted increase. It's not really increase, but it worked like a lifted increase wrap and turn. And then I will show you how to work a standard wrap and turn purlwise. I'll be back in a few. Okay, so we're back and we need to purl one more stitch. And now we are at the lifted. And so I resolve this on the front. You can purl two together through the back loop and it will work. But I prefer to turn it over to the right side, slip those two stitches or two loops back over, and then do a slip, slip, knit through the back loop. And if you'll notice, it sort of resembles a knit stitch that way, and it's not twisted and it's not weird. So I'm going to go ahead and purl a few more stitches, coming back to the back, and we'll show you the other wrap and turns method. Again, none of these are the right way to do it. It's just the way is best for you is all. Okay, so for this method, just like we did on the knit side, for wrap and turn, you just slip it purlwise, move the yarn to the back, slip it purlwise, turn the work. In this case, because the yarn is in the front and we want to knit, we still need to move that yarn to the back. But we just created this wrap around this last stitch, and then we knit the other way. Again, this is not my preferred method, but is used by many people, where you just slip the yarn purlwise, wrap the yarn around it, slip it back purlwise, and then go in the other direction. There's no right or wrong way to do your short rows. It's just whatever is personally your preferred method. There's even more methods. There's a Japanese short row where instead of wrapping it, you catch it with one of those, like a light bulb stitch marker that's removable. You wrap it around the yarn and then you go the other direction, so it's holding that loop for you to resolve. I'm sure there's even more. The whole point of it, though, is to get your yarn in position so that you can go in the other direction and the yarn is still held in some way, which allows you to safely go the other direction without losing those loops. So I think that currently the German short rows are most popular, and they work absolutely fine. I do find that resolving them can be a little fiddly, but no more than resolving the lifted ones, and no more than resolving the wrap and turns. I just for some reason really like the way that the lifted, like a lifted increase, but it's not lifted. I call it a lifted increase wrap and turn, and I don't know what it's, I don't even know if it has an actual name, but I just really like that method. I like how it looks when it's all said and done. So we're working our way back over to our last short row so that we can show you how to resolve that wrap. So these are really easy to tell because these stitches are really close together, but what's super important on this kind is that you don't hold these together because they're not wrapped. You work the first stitch and then you have this stitch, and what I tend to do is lift it up and then put them both up on the needle and work them together, because this wrap stitch, otherwise it leaves it down here and it just is a pain. And that's all you need to do to resolve it. Because we're not going to go back the other way, I'm going to show you how to resolve the other wrap and turn coming from this direction instead of coming from the other direction. I'm also going to include links to some other tutorials online that are excellent. If you really want a study of short rows, if they still have it, Craftsy has an excellent class by, oh, she's from Ireland. Why can I not think of her? It'll be down below. And she does a complete study on short rows, the different kinds of short rows, how you can do them, how they're worked. And she's the one that I learned short rows from, Carol. I think it's Carol. Cannot. Alright. So this one we want to knit. This is a wrap stitch. And I'm actually going to take that one back off because I think, no, I want to do it on that one. So we'll knit this one just normal. And then I am going to lift this wrap up on the stitch, or try to. It's actually super tight. Well, I don't think I'm going to be able to. I'm going to have to leave it in there, and that means there's going to be this massive gap. So I am going to knit these two together. And then knit this, and then this, and that would be why I do not like it, Sam I am. Let me see if we can increase. So instead of knitting these two together, we'll knit this one. We'll knit this one through the back loop, and we'll knit these two together. So we'll increase and decrease at the same time. That's a little less, but you see how just difficult and fiddly and not so clean Let me get a few stitches past and then I'll line it up. And when we get further in the knitting, I'll show you. This is my increase, this is my decrease to keep the stitches right, but I had to. And it's just, that's just not beautiful. But if we come over here and we look at, I don't even know if you guys can tell where it is, but my wrap and turn is in here. And then if you come to the first wrap and turn that we did, it's here. It's right here. So we have this one, then we have this one here, and then we have this. And I just think, anyway, I would say do which one you prefer. If the German short rows are easy for you, by all means do them. Just remember, knit through the back loop and slip knit, or knit through the back loop and purl two together for the German short rows. If you knit in the front, it'll be a really tall, weird stitch. Okay, and that's it for short rows. There will be another tutorial here shortly, and that one will be on how to join your next yarn. Yeah, and then we'll be back for that shortly. Thanks.